I have a grudge against Picross. Every time I need to play the new indie, work on scripts, or honestly, just go to bed, I feel the call. Just one more puzzle, just one more section. It's like a black hole of free time, but in a good way. So, if I'm going to give in to this Picross obsession, I might as well find a good one. There are practically infinite Picrosses out there, centuries worth of puzzles. Most make just small mechanical changes to the core formula. But like Solitaire, these changes can ripple outwards, shifting the mechanical and emotional experience. This video is an extremely inexhaustive dive into some of my favorites, grouped by extremely arbitrary categories. You may wonder whether it's just a way to turn my wasted Picross time into something productive. But first, to understand the variants, we have to understand the original. Picross, also known as nonograms, are grid-based puzzles first popularized in the 90s. Each row and column is accompanied by numbers. A single 1 means one cell in that row or column must be filled in, and the rest crossed out. Something like 5-4 means there's a run of 5 filled squares, then a gap, then 4 more. It looks complicated, but nonograms are really just an exercise in patience and progress. There's usually not much advanced logic or guesswork involved. You find the numbers you can fill in and go step by step, slowly and methodically. There are a bunch of logical techniques and little tricks, but even after doing just a few puzzles, you internalize these tricks and do them without thinking. Picross is short for picture crossword, but really, they're closer to Rubik's Cubes than crosswords. When doing a crossword, it's easy to get frustrated, annoyed that despite your time and mental effort, you can't quite finish it. Looking at you, New Yorker. But Picross doesn't have this problem. Put in the time, put in the focus, and you will solve the puzzle. In my experience, solving a Picross is less of a brain-burning exercise than a state of empty-minded zen, logic tricks repeating without conscious thought. It's simpler than other puzzles, sure, but also kind of refreshing in its honesty. When you open a Picross, there are no tricky clues, no ridiculous connections, no streak-destroying words. A Picross is a promise of solvability. It's immensely satisfying, and the puzzle usually makes a little picture. I'll be honest, most of the pictures are a stretch, but they're cute. With such a satisfying core experience, the most popular Picrosses don't change the formula too much, but just make it incredibly clean. This category is the first nonogram video game, released in 1995 for the Game Boy, was Mario's Picross. And like a lot of Nintendo's early output, they kinda nailed it from the start. There are a few modern inconveniences, but if you like Picross, you'll like this. The game was responsible for an explosion of digital Picross games, at least in Japan. While nonograms had been published in physical papers for years, the addictive nature of the puzzles lent themselves extremely well to a handheld, which could pack over 250 of them into your pocket. This success led Jupiter Corporation, the dev team, to make Picross games for Nintendo consoles for over 30 years. And as you might expect, when a team works on something for that long, they've got it down to a science. They've published 9 Picross S games for the Switch, plus a bunch of side ones. They all contain different puzzles and small quality of life changes, but let's be honest, they're all pretty much the same. They're great value and extremely slick, and you can't go wrong with any of them. But if you're like me, and have the somewhat blasphemous opinion of preferring to play Picross games with a mouse, then PictoPix is your answer. PictoPix is sleek, modern, and quick, with all the puzzle sizes and modes you could ever want. 3 small puzzles in a row? Here. 15 by 15s? Here. Puzzles that sprawl into multiple sections in a massive mosaic and will probably take you at least a week? Sure, you madman. On top of the frankly ludicrous puzzle count, it has seamless Steam Workshop integration. If you want a game that will probably take you the rest of your life to complete, this is your answer. But if you want something with a little more color, well. Inseparable from the history of Picross is its themed puzzles. Jupiter Corp alone has made themed Picross games for Namco, Capcom, Konami, and Sega. not to mention basically every Nintendo franchise ever made. Why solve a picture of a generic dog when you could solve a slightly terrifying Funky Kong? And that's before you get to the non-game themes. Hello Kitty, Snoopy, countless anime tie-ins. If you're the one person in the world who wants Neon Genesis Evangelion Picross, here, take it. On the fan side, there's a nearly unlimited number of custom puzzles. The relative ease of making a nonogram means that basically every character in existence has one of them, from Hornet to this extends to full fan-made games, which take the aesthetics of their subject and weave them into the puzzle itself. Different palettes, music, UI that all feel native to the source. The most impressive release in this category is UFO 50 Nonograms. UFO 50 is a collection of 50-style retro games developed over the course of 8 years and released in 2024. What defines it, to me, is its shocking consistency. Across so many games and genres, there's a startling level of polish and invention, small touches and shines that only come from time and loving care. UFO 50 Nonograms, which is again entirely fan-developed, operates on a remarkably similar level. The love for the source material is obvious, with styles, backgrounds, and music all adapted from the original. There are also light resource gathering mechanics borrowed from within UFO 50, adding subtle upgrades over the course of your long Picross journey. They're mostly just a way to unlock customizations, but they're yet another thread back to the source. UFO 50 Nonograms is not the best Picross in this video, and if you haven't played UFO 50, go play UFO 50. It shouldn't be your first stop. But to me, it's the perfect example of a themed game. Something that lets you enjoy it on its own terms while deepening your appreciation for the source material. But that's enough clean and elegant designs for now. Let's get a little messier. One of the most popular additions to Picross is a story, and usually some small mechanical changes. This should work great. The story provides a break from the puzzles a break from the story. But it's harder to pull off than it might seem. PictoQuest throws you into monster battles and side quests, but the puzzles aren't good enough and the RPG mechanics are just kind of there. It's not great. Pixel Cross Adventure and Mosaic of the Strange both fare a little better on the puzzle end, but fail on the having a good plot one. And I'm not trying to be mean here, I swear. It's just that Picross is practically perfect already. Throwing even an average story into the mix risks destroying the whole balance. Pixel has an inoffensive story, but when it's keeping me from doing what is essentially a perfect puzzle, I get offended. There are some successes. Charm Studies isn't anything special, but the aesthetics and story are cute and earnest enough that if I'm mean to this game, I don't know, it's gonna mess with my karma. Plus, it's probably the only game in this video you can finish in a reasonable time frame, so points for that. Murder by Numbers throws Picross into an Ace Attorney-style plot set in 1990s Los Angeles. Solving puzzles is contextualized as investigating your environment, and combined with slick production values and nice voice acting, it keeps the pacing quick and the story moving. The plot is, well, I'm trying to be nice, so I'll say enthusiastic. But it's worth your time in an interesting combination of genres. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just surprised how few Picross games have plots or overworld mechanics that pull their weight. Maybe I feel so harsh because I know it can be done well. It can be done superbly. We just have to get a little weird. The Taiyaki Fabulous Museum of Fish, or TaiFab for short, is a free, solo-developed game released in 2024. It does not have the best puzzles or the sleekest presentation. After all, it's designed to run on a Game Boy. What it does have is the vibe that's so often missing. TaiFab involves walking around an island, solving puzzles, talking to people, and completing quests. But boiling it down to just that would be a disservice. The island is strange and surreal, with fish power, teleporting leaves, and squids named Chad. Solving puzzles gives you equipment, ranging from scuba gear to lucid dreams, all letting you explore further, areas bleeding to other areas like an 8-bit Elden Ring. and the paths you go down, from feeding drumsticks to hungry gators, to exploring the developer's house, feel bizarre and uncanny. The Game Boy aesthetic is immediately striking, but it goes deeper than surface charm. It excuses small inconveniences that would otherwise be grating, like having to manually submit puzzles. It ties TIFAB back to surreal Game Boy games like Link's Awakening and the endless worlds they promised. It also allows for chiptune covers of classical songs that are themselves a little dreamlike. Hearing Liebestrom the first time you venture into the island is like a promise for how unique this experience will be. Now, I don't want to overhype it. It is still, at the end of the day, just Picross. But the vibe and confidence is remarkable. It knows that solving Picross puzzles to create a drumstick is a little silly. And so, instead of trying to make it serious or cozy, it leans into this strangeness. I shouldn't be surprised. In the developer's house, they mention that the game's idea was born of a literal fever dream, as in, a dream had while having a fever. And so, in a sentence I'm surprised to be saying in a Picross video, I don't want to spoil TIFAB any further. There are not big twists or gameplay changes or revelations that the whole game takes place in a fish's dream. It is, at the end of the day, just Picross. But the little moments of experimentation and discovery are something rare in this genre. But if you're tired of Picross, if you want to get a little weirder, all of the games so far in this video are different, but they're all still Picross. These ones, well, they're also still Picross, but they're trying something new. Squeakcross, Home Squeak Home, yes, I'm gonna say the full title every time, is part Picross, part Animal Crossing. You start Squeakcross Home Squeak Home by making your own rat and this Monster Hunter level character creator. For most of the game, you solve pretty standard Picross puzzles. There's cheese instead of black squares, but that's about it. However, each puzzle creates clothes and furniture for your rat, and then you get to watch them just hang out. And look, just look at this. I don't have to explain it, you know if it's your vibe or not. Plus, you occasionally get photos of real rats from a real rat charity. On the polar opposite end of the spectrum, Cinicross is Picross if Picross hated you. It's a combination of nonogram and roguelike, where you solve puzzles under a strict time limit, earning upgrades that fill lines and X's for you. The deeper you go in a run, the harder the puzzles, the shorter the timer, and the more your hands sweat. Whereas almost every nonogram game is chill, Cinicross is a slow-rolling panic attack. There are so many timers ticking down, so many flashes on screen, it is exhausting. It's like if FromSoft made Picross. Actually, scratch that. FromSoft did make a Picross and it wasn't this punishing, so Cinicross is worse. It's also in early access, and honestly, shows. The balancing is weird. I almost always either lost immediately or found myself with a laughable excess of time. You also don't get a picture at the end of a puzzle, which I didn't realize how much I'd miss until it was gone. Still, Cinicross is trying something new in a 30-year genre that is focused on refinement over revolution. It's not perfect, but I can respect it. The last game I want to talk about is not the most experimental or the most narratively gripping, but it is the most audacious. Proverbs is a mix of Picross and Minesweeper. Each number shows how many adjacent squares need to be filled in. And, well, that's it. What reducing Proverbs to this is missing the forest for the trees, or the squares for the grid. Because Proverbs is not a collection of small puzzles like every other game on this list. It's one enormous puzzle. This is the entire game, right here, 55,000 squares of it. It's a depiction of Pieter Bruegel the Elder's 1559 painting Netherlandish Proverbs. Each section of the grid depicts a different 16th century proverb, and completing a section gives you the meaning, with a very helpful translation. It is a proposition that is both insane and irresistible. I started Proverbs confident that my Picross experience would make quick work of it. It was only after a couple of hours, when I saw how little I'd chipped away, that the despair started to seep in. And after spending 20 minutes on a section, only to be told the meaning of to bang one's head against a brick wall, I decided, you know what, this game. But there's something in Proverbs, something radical. So many games split themselves into bite-sized chunks. Most Picross games are built on this, tempting you with one digestible puzzle at a time. Proverbs does not care if you're intimidated, and I think the painterly theme contributes to this. Netherlandish Proverbs is a work about man's follies, less a list of proverbs than a catalog of the ways we fail, how we betray our ideals, our goals, our morals. It is a painting fully committed to its beliefs, however cynical they may be. And while I don't think the game is cynical, it is similarly upfront about what it is, content to confront you with it. There is one puzzle here, 30 hours of mindless effort. Is that worth your time? Is any Picross worth your time? Is any game worth your time? I can't answer that for you. After all, the herring hangs by its own gills. Anyway, 7 out of 10 got a little bit of something for everyone. If you're interested in the idea, the developers also made massive free puzzles depicting global events in 2024 and 2025. Unfortunately, this does result in you spending 10 minutes solving a puzzle, only to find out it was a picture of the Purdue Pharma settlement. So, mileage may vary. As I said at the start, this list is extremely inexhaustive. I didn't talk about the various other free Picross games on itch.io, or 3D Picross, or I also didn't discuss the games that take inspiration from Picross, but push a little further out, like the excellent Stitch. But I have to stop somewhere. And besides, some of the joy of Picross is discovering it for yourself. I went into UFO 50 nonograms, TIFAB, and Proverbs with no expectations other than grids and crosses. It was seeing for myself the ways they subverted my expectations, both mechanical and emotional, that made them memorable. So, I hope you check out these recommendations, but also search for yourself. Find a theme, an aesthetic, a design principle that calls to you, and see if it clicks. At best, you'll find an experience that surprises and delights you, one that challenges and expands what you think is possible within grids and squares. And at worst, well, it's Picross, and Picross is a classic.